Hello friends, welcome to the Selenium Webdriver beginner series. So this is my 17th session as part of this series. So in this session we are going to learn about synchronization. So the complete topics are like what is synchronization, what is default page load strategy, what is page load timeout, implicit wait, explicit wait, thread.sleep, implicit versus explicit wait, and also we can see one of the example scenario with some live sessions. So let's get into it. So first of all, we'll discuss about what is synchronization. So in any of the automation testing tool, synchronization plays a bigger role in getting success of your automation scripts. So means the automation purpose is to replay the repeated tasks. So if you don't plan well synchronizations, so your script will always give you troubles. So why? Because it is something like managing a synchronization between your application and your tool. So means like if you are browsing through the various applications, some applications will perform very faster and some of them will be slower, and sometimes the same application behaves little faster and little slower. So means it depends on various factors like your browsing speed, your network speed, and application server configurations. And so means for the different internet speeds, the applications will behave very differently. So in such cases, the Selenium or any automation tool we will have certain default waits for elements. So like suppose assume that I'm filling a login application. So once after hitting the login URL, then my script will look for username text box. So but the tool will have certain time to look for that username text box. So if your application is slow, but the tool will have certain, maybe 10 seconds default time, and your application may respond after 15 seconds. So in such cases, the tool may not find the object it is trying to interact, and then it will throw out some exceptions. So in these cases, how do we manage a synchronization? So that is called as a synchronization. So namingly or definition wise, we can say that synchronization is a process of wait between the browser and WebDriver commands. So WebDriver doesn't track the active real estate of the DOM. Nothing but DOM means document object model. It is nothing but group of your HTML elements. So means the WebDriver doesn't know how many of your elements are active, and maybe some elements will load, and few of the elements may not be loaded. So it will have means the tool may look for an entire page load, but may not be specific to the particular element. So to manage these kind of settings, so we will depends upon synchronization process. So there are 5 types of synchronizations or wait conditions are available in WebDriver. The first is page load timeout, and the second is implicit wait, explicit wait, fluent wait, thread.sleep. So these are the 5 types of synchronizations we can manage, and using these 5 bands, we can build a good scripts, that can avoid many of the synchronization issues in real time. So let's get into one by one. The first one is the page load strategy. So what is the page load strategy? Means before knowing about page load timeout, it is important to know what is page load strategy. So means like whenever you are browsing through a web page, so the web page will take certain time, right? So then what is that page load strategy will the WebDriver is followed? So let us get into the details. By default, when Selenium WebDriver loads a page, so means like driver.get, and you will be giving one URL, and when that command gets executed, then it follows the normal page load strategy. It is nothing but that particular command will look for this document.readyState property. So every browser, like every application or browser is always looks for this ready state. So that ready state will is a property of a document describe the loading state of the current document. So how long WebDriver wait? So by default, WebDriver will wait until this particular property is set to complete. So means this is a default page load strategy. This property is set to complete once page loaded from the server. So read this to understand various ready states. So let's look at this. So these are the DOM ready states, and if you look at these values, so like loading and interactive complete. So means the WebDriver will wait for this particular things to be happen, like complete. So means whenever I hit any web page, like even though this web page, you see it's loading, and once the page is loaded, you will see the page load is complete. And but during the process, this is still loading. So means WebDriver keep tracks of this particular property, and if it is loading, then it will not, it will the WebDriver will wait. But once that state, the page load state, that is the document ready states reach to complete, then WebDriver will move on to the next command to execute. So this is how the WebDriver will follow a default page load strategy. Okay. So now, okay, so then this is perfect, right? So the my WebDriver is, waiting for keep tracking of your page loading, and then once it is said complete, then only your script is moving to the next page. Then what are the issues? It's fairly well, right? So then why we need other four types of synchronization ways? So if this is doing fine, then what are the needs of other four synchronization ways? So let's see what are the issues with this. So the issues are after page loaded, if any action that will not make any server request and page refresh at client side. It is nothing but whenever you open any web page, like whatever web page, if you look at, so this will make some server request. Okay, so this document dot ready state is depends upon the server state. So once you get the complete response from the server, then the ready state, the document dot ready state set to complete. So, but there are few elements that may not be required server interaction, and it will load from your client itself. Means within browser those are loaded. In such cases, the WebDriver may not wait for those kinds of elements. That is one of the drawback of page load strategy. And let's look at next. When page is loaded by the browser, the elements that we want to interact with may load at different time intervals. See, suppose if I browse through the any weather site or AccuWeather.com or whatever, so assume that you have a country button, a country drop down, and state drop down. Okay, so once you select the country drop down, okay, so the states drop down will be filtered out. So in such cases, the server may not be sending request. The application may not be sending request to the server. Maybe the states are loaded from client itself. Then that the time means the element loading time may not be at sometimes with the different intervals. So means sometimes loads at 10 seconds and sometimes may take 20 seconds. So in such cases, the page load strategy may not be appropriate to handle those issues. So that is the drawbacks of like what is that page load strategy. So let's look at what is the page load timeout. Oh, this is the one of the way, or this is the first method to handle synchronization. Okay, so page load timeout, this sets the amount of time wait for a page load to complete before throwing an error. If the timeout is negative, page load can be indefinite. Okay, so the syntax is page load timeout, and you can say long time means you need to give how much time you wanted to wait, and here time unit means you need to specify the unit. Unit means maybe in seconds, minutes, or like hours. So this is a complete example. Driver dot manage dot times out dot page load timeout 10 second 10 and time unit dot seconds. It means this particular command is instructing that, so whenever WebDrive interact with any pages, the default page load timeout would be 10 seconds. So if any of your web page, like whenever you are navigating to different pages, clicking on some buttons, there may be a page load, right? So in such cases, it will only wait for 10 seconds. If exceeds this, then that will throw some exception. Okay, so let's take one example. Let me create one package, day_17 new class synchronization_wait, select main method. Okay, you got this. Now I copied the browser launching code, and we are now getting to this web page. This is a web page. Okay, so I have many controls over here. Let's inspect some elements. So I have draggable to is one of the element on page. So now driver dot find element. I'm trying to find the element with the ID or XPath, whatever. Y dot ID draggable to. Okay, dot get text means I'm getting the text of that particular element. Okay guys, so you can store it in some variable, or you can directly print using system.out.println, close the bracket. Okay, so this is a sample code I written, and now we'll see how this gets executed without any default, any synchronization. We are checking the default one. Now browser loading, and see page is still loading. If you look at on top, like tab over here, the browser is still loading. Look at this. So, and your WebDriver is also waiting for it, right? It did not say it hands up. Still it is looking for it, searching, keep on waiting, keep on waiting. Let's see what will happen. Now page loaded. Now immediately the get text command executed, and the text of this particular element, nothing but automation, has printed to console. So how the web page, now the WebDriver is halted for that time. So that is called as a default page load strategy. Means the default, it will look for a ready state, right? So if ready state is completed, then the script executed successfully. Wait still, get the document ready state. Okay. So no time mentioned. It automatically waits for it. Okay. So now we will see how can I add page load timeout. Okay. Driver dot manage dot timeouts page load timeout. This is a command to set your page load timeout explicitly. Excuse me. Sorry. Time unit dot will wait for 10 seconds. So now WebDriver will not wait for document dot page ready state. This is only wait for 10 seconds. So let's see what will happen. Right click, run as. Now it's running. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So keep on loading, but now you see it hands up. It's 9.74 around, it's almost 10 seconds, 9.7 above. So means as we said, driver.manage.timeouts page load timeout to 10 seconds. So means now the WebDriver will not wait for default page load or default page load strategy. It depends upon page load timeout method timings that we set. So this is the one of the way you can manage your synchronization. Means I given 10 that was failed, but if you give whatever, like the default behavior of your application, maybe the max page load time for your application is set to 30. You can set 30 across your WebDriver session so that every page load will wait for 30 seconds. And if within that time, if the page is not loaded, then that will throw some exception. So now I've given 20. So let's see, will it load in 20 seconds? Nope. 19.60. It's means 19.5 above means 20, right? So 20 seconds. It couldn't. So it got sub timeout exception. Now let's make it to 60. Now let's see what will happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's loaded, right? 21. Now see, we got the automation. So means it it did not wait for page load to timeout. If the page is loaded prior than given timeout, also it will, the command will go to the next statement. Okay, so this is about, setting a page load timeout. And this is only, this is only specific to when there is a page load activity. Means when your request, or your browser is requesting something from server and waiting for something to be loaded from server, or like some pages, then this particular page load timeout would be helpful and can be used. Okay, so this is about page load timeout. If you say minutes, that will take 60 minutes. So but will it wait for 60 minutes? Let's see, I'm running it again. Script going on, going on, going on. Let's see what will happen. It's keep on loading, and as per page load timeout, it should wait for 60 minutes, means 1 hour. But will it? No, we have seen, right? So if the page is loaded faster than your expected like wait time, then the wait will skip, the timing would be skipped and the command would be executed. You see 82 4802 4836, it's around 34 seconds. Okay, so this is about page load timeout. Hope you got it right. So this is one of the first way of handling synchronization. Okay, and now I have a question. So what, what if you don't mention anything? Then what would be the default page load timeout? So the default page load timeout means the document dot ready state property. If it means the defaultly the WebDriver will wait till the document property state change to completed. But what if that never happens? So what was the default timeout? That was around 30, I think 3 lakhs milliseconds. It's around 5 minutes time. So within that minutes, if it don't get loaded, then that will throw some exceptions. Okay, so let's move on to the second method of synchronization. So that is implicitly wait. So what is implicitly wait? So instruct the WebDriver to wait for certain amount of time in searching for a web element. Throw no such element exception if no element found within the time. So previously we have seen the page load timeout. So but what about if you wanted to wait for a particular thing, like like certain amount of time for searching for a web element, not for page, waiting for username, or waiting for password, waiting for login button. So means all these, like elements. So if you wanted to wait for an element load, then we will use implicitly wait. So the syntax is driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait. Again, same time, how much time you wanted to wait, and time units. Okay, so the example is similarly, and this command is telling us to wait for 10 seconds. And this is not only for one statement. If you give driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait 10 means for every element it's only fixed time 10 seconds. Is in within 10 seconds username loaded or password will be loaded. After that, whatever the next element means, it's common for entire WebDriver session. Okay, let's have a look at it. Now these are the steps which we are going to follow. Step 1, navigate to the website, the same URL I'm typing over here. On the step 2, click on the drag and drop elements tab, or web page. It's one of the link or tab, you can say. And step 3, get the text of any of the web element. Maybe let's have a look at it. Let me open a web page. Okay, so now clicking on this, get the text of wait. I'm looking for one of the element to be loaded on this page. Yep. So get text of this automation. Okay. So that's one of the property. That's one of the element on page. So it's a draggable for ID. Okay. So let us try to get the text of element which is not available on web page. So driver dot find element by dot, you can use dot id or whatever, and we have draggable 3, draggable 4, draggable 2. Okay, so let's give something else because we wanted to know how does it wait. Okay, so I given draggable 5 because that element doesn't exist on web page, and in such cases how does this timeout will wait. Okay, so checking this particular with script with no implicitly wait, so that we will identify how implicit wait will help us and how it works. So it's only now working with page load timeout, okay, and with implicit wait. Now the page is loaded. Dot click. Okay, so it's loading. It's clicked on that. Now the page is keep on loading, loading, and here it is. Okay, so now I put some breakpoint, so it's halted there. Now let's see. It's 7 5 16, and let's count. Oops, we got some error. Unable to locate with element. So it's got immediately, right? So there is no wait. It is immediately thrown some exception. Okay. So note this. And now we will try with implicit wait. So this is a proof that the page load timeout will only work whenever there is a page loaded, but not on elements. So now what we do, now we'll give implicit wait and we'll re-execute the same. Manage, oh sorry, I think manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait. Now to time unit dot, you need to import the class, right? Time unit dot give something, seconds or milliseconds, whatever, or days. No, not days. So you can use minutes. So close this. Now let's see. So earlier it did not waited for checking for that element. Now it should wait the at least 2 minutes. That is the time which we given. Okay, and then only it will throw. It should throw some exception. Expected is to wait for 2 minutes before it throwing exception. No such element exception. Okay, so let's see. Now right click, debug as Java application. Okay, so note this. Okay, observe this. Earlier after breakpoint, when I click run, it immediately thrown no such element exception, but now it should wait. So now here the page load timeout is inactive. Okay, the page load timeout will work here. Okay, let's keep on loading, keep on loading, keep on loading, and our page load timeout is high, so no worries. I think it will not throw any load issues related exceptions. So the object is loaded. Now earlier here at this step, without implicit wait, we got some exception immediately. Now let's see 7750. Okay, 7750. Now let's count it. It should throw exception after searching for 2 minutes, because that is the time we set over here, right? So this is the time. So this is the two minutes time which we set, and we started at 7:18 around 77 around 77:15 around. So now it should wait for 120 seconds. So means 2 minutes. Then it should throw some no such element exception. Okay, so this is about implicit wait. Let's hang on over here. Still loading, loading, loading. Keep on waiting because the implicit wait is active. 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So should wait till around 54 around nearby. Just keep observe the times. This area 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 30, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Countdown starts. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 will start. Yes, got it. So it exactly waits for 2 minutes before throwing no such element exceptions. So this is how about implicitly wait. So means we need to use implicit wait to wait for elements to load. Okay, so this is a thing which we need to remember. Okay, so the page load timeout is specific to page loads, and implicit wait is specific to wait for certain elements. So hope you got me right. So now this is a draggable tool. Okay, so now we are putting an condition on we are putting for existing element. So means what? Means here what should we notice? Now it should not wait for 2 minutes because that is already there on page and it should get executed immediately. Okay, so that is the way of working. That is the way the implicitly wait will work. So as it only waits for 2 minutes, if means it will keep on searching for particular element. If you don't find within that time, then only it should throw some exception. If it finds prior to that, then the wait should exit and it should not wait for further. So let's see the same behavior now. It's loaded. The page is loaded. Now here the page load timeout will be active. So it keep on loading and it will wait for the 60 seconds that we given. Loading. Yep, it's done. Now see, earlier it was waited for 2 minutes. Now, but you see it's 11:52. Oops, you got it immediately. Oops, I did not put system.out.println. That's why it did not print it there. But you can give sysout.println just to check. Of course, it's completed. You see the terminated means it's completed. But let's see. Let's check with by giving uh, system.out.println so that the console will print the command like the text of that web object. So now right click, I can give run as, right? So it does quickly. So no need to put breakpoint. Let's see. You will notice if the execution takes longer time. Now click on drag and drop elements. Okay. Our page is loading. So as soon as page loaded, immediately the next statement will execute, and next immediately that particular get text command will execute and come out. It will not wait for 2 minutes. So that is the thing you need to notice now. Now this is loaded. You see, and automation is completed, and the page is execution is completed, terminated. Look at this. Okay, so this is how about implicitly wait. So hope you got me right. So what we discussed so far, we discussed two things in synchronization. One is the page load timeout, that is explicitly for waiting for a page loads, but that will not work on waiting for a specific or waiting for web elements. So the next alternate option is implicit wait. This will wait for elements to be loaded. Okay, so driver dot mini dot timeout dot implicitly wait, and you need to mention how many time count of seconds or whatever here, and whatever the time format, maybe seconds or minutes or so that you need to mention. So we have page load, we have element load. Then why we need another third element? Why we need another third procedure of waiting for element? So let's see why we need that. And so before jumping onto the third method, let us look at these few important things. By default, implicit wait time is set to 0. So if you don't mention, it won't. Once set, the implicit wait is set for the life of the WebDriver session. It means, so after driver.manage.timeout.implicitly wait, then whatever whatever you use like driver.find.element, driver.find elements, whatever, each command or each element finding will wait for the specified timeout implicit wait. Okay, so if you have 10 elements, so for each element, it looks for max time 10 seconds. And if it's loaded prior to that, well and good. But if not loaded within that time, that will throw no such element exception. Okay, and that will only wait for 10 seconds, not more than that. So means whatever you set as an implicit wait. So I hope you got me right. So let us take one example. I have username, password, a login button. Okay, so if I say 10 seconds means the WebDriver will come over there and look for username. Is it there? If there, then okay, it will enter the value. If not, then it will wait for 10 seconds. Similarly, for the next element, it will look whether it is there or not, it will check. If it is there, it will enter the value. If not, it will wait for maximum 10 seconds and throw no such element exception. That is about implicitly wait. So let's move on to the next topic about explicit wait. So right, so we have a page and we have page load strategy, we have page load timeout, and we have waits for specific elements. Then why we need another wait? So let us look at it. So explicit waits are allowing your code to pass the script execution until the condition you pass it resolves. So the condition is called within a certain frequency until the timeout of the wait elapsed. This means that for as long as the condition returns a false value, it will keep trying and waiting. So this is a lengthy definition. I will make it short. So explicit wait is nothing but we are instructing WebDriver to wait for a specific element, not for everything. So it's something like we are traveling in a bus and there are there are few bus drivers will wait for all passengers to be arrived. So that is a explicit wait. Doesn't matter. I will only wait for 1 hour. That's an implicit wait. But not for But if driver decided to wait for specific, specific passenger, that's an explicit wait. So means if driver says no, I will only start the bus until this person comes, or so that means it means that a condition and specific element is called as explicit wait. And then how long? If driver said until the passenger A comes only I will start, means how long? So there is a time limit. So means the driver keeps checking for a particular person until he arrives until 1 hour. Means suppose the bus has to start by 9 a.m. and the driver set a time like I will wait for this passenger comes or at least 10 a.m. So means for every 10 minutes you will check, yes, this person has arrived. No, then he will again stay back, and after 10 minutes again he will check, passenger A has arrived. No, then he will stay back, and after 10 minutes again he will check whether passenger A arrived. No. So in case passenger A has arrived after 30 minutes, then the driver will start the bus by 9:30 a.m. If not, he will again wait for till what time? 10 a.m. So once if again at 9:50 he will check, his passenger A has arrived? No. So then his timeout meet, means the second condition met. So then driver will start the bus. So that is called as explicit wait. So means waiting for a specific condition along with specific timeout time value. So that's called as a explicit wait. So here you will see some of the explicit waits. So there are many in explicit wait, but implicit wait is not conditional based. Implicit wait is just given 10 seconds, means for every element it will wait for 10, 10, 10, 10 seconds. That's it. But explicit wait is along with the time we can set some conditions. So what are those conditions? Wait until element visible on a screen. This is nothing but some username is available on screen or not. Something like last seat has filled, yes or no, yes. So kind of specific condition. And wait until element is clickable, and wait until element is invisible, wait for text to be present on screen. And these are the few conditions. There are plenty of conditions. You can say that wait for all the elements are loaded on page, wait for all the element disappeared on page, wait for specific frame appeared on web page, wait for all like elements disappeared on web page. There are plenty of conditions which we have. I can show you them. So you can put such kind of conditions in explicit wait. And the syntax is, this is the syntax, little feel little difficult, but yeah, by practice you can make it easier. So declare your web element, okay, and new WebDriver wait. Okay, so driver object you need to pass, and you need to mention timeout in seconds, how long you will need to wait, and until, and we will be using a new class called as expected conditions. And this class will have various conditions, like as I said, visible or clickable or invisible, or whatever you will be mentioning in a condition. And you will be mentioning your object identification, means the by id by name or by text or by XPath, whatever. Okay, so this is one example. So new WebDriver wait, and this is the timeout. It's a seconds until expected conditions dot element to be clickable by dot name test. So this means that the WebDriver will wait for this particular element, means with the name test is appeared on screen until this to be clickable. So means it will keep on checking, like at 10 seconds it will check whether it is clickable. No, then again at 11, at 12. So even within this 20 seconds this element is not clickable, then this will throw some timeout exceptions. So if at 15 seconds this is appeared and clickable, then this will come out and will execute the next command. So this is about explicit wait. Hope you got some idea of about explicit wait. So let's do this. Until we do it, we won't be getting what is explicit wait. Let's get started. So this the here the homework is like the what sorry here the practice session would be going to the Click Labs homepage, click on drag and drop elements tab, add an explicit wait to until presence of a web element with some ID. So wantedly I took that an element which is not available on screen, so that only we will understand how the waits are working, and observe timeout exception and close the browser. So this is our practice session. Okay, so let's try this. So go over here, just a moment, go to this website. This is what we need to check, right? So let me open my Eclipse first, and as a best practice, so I'll be creating one package. It's not necessary, you can practice all in one single session. So but just to share you guys, after the entire course, after entire series, I will share this code, so that just to make you understand, I'm creating individual packages so that you can refer it back and can practice on your own. Package, and it's a day_17. Okay guys, so you got this package is created. Now go new and class. So we can say synchronization underscore wait. So what is this discouraged? By convention, Java type name usually start with the uppercase letter. So this is showing some error. Set it and select this main method. So you got the main method is created. Okay. So now this is your playground. Means whatever you write over here, it gets executed. So now move over here and copy these 3 lines. Okay. So this is right, how to launch the browsers. So I think you excuse me for copying this. Okay, so this will open up this web page, but our need is to open up this web page. So copy this. Okay, so copied it. Now we need to, what is the next step? Click on drag and drop elements. Okay, so save it. No, it should be drag and drop elements. Okay, so this is what we wanted to click. So maybe link text will work, but I'll depend upon this href. So copy this href. Oops, I'm sorry. Edit as HTML. Let me copy this. Okay. So you need to write XPath for this. Did you remember how to write XPath? So very simple. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay. So what is the tag name there? We used A, right? There is a tag name, right? It's a A, and attribute is href. So to refer attribute, at the rate is a operator at the rate href equals to, what is the one we copied is this one, right? And close this, right? So this is I closed, and again you need to close this double quotes. So write this double quotes here, right? Okay. So I think let me move this so that you can have a view. Okay. When you can move little further. Okay, guys, you got some view, right? So dot clicked it, right? Now after clicking, now we need to wait until, right? So that is the word, right? Add an explicit wait to until presence of a web element. Okay. So to write explicit wait, we can do easily. There are two steps. I splitted the syntax into two steps. Two steps to add explicit wait. Okay. The step one is the step one. As it's a comment, you need to write like this. Else, the Java will throw some exception, considering that this is a one of the code. Okay, so don't always mention with slashes. So step one, declare wait. Sorry, declare wait. So to declare wait, we need to select WebDriver wait. Type few letters, control space, and this is a WebDriver wait. Okay, so now define wait equals to new WebDriver wait, control space. So this is the one, right? So this take two arguments. One is the WebDriver instance, which we already set over here. So copy this, and timeout. Timeout in seconds. So how many seconds we wanted to wait? Let's take 40 seconds. Okay. Okay. So now wait dot, as I said, until. So this is a explicit wait until. Okay. So write this until, and is true means here you need to use the condition. So to use the condition, I am depending on expected condition. This is one of the way. Okay, expected conditions. Okay, so use this. So open queue selenium dot support dot ui, right? Expected conditions dot. Now you see, wait for alert present, wait for attribute contains some value. So many methods. So many methods. Element selection state to be selected or not, like that. To be clickable means whatever you mention over here, wait that particular element is clickable. There are various conditions. You can go through this. Frame to be available, invisibility of web element, invisibility of all web elements means you can mention the list of web elements, and you can say that wait for until these elements are invisible on screen. So there are many conditions. We may not be using all, but so just you can go through whenever you have time. Okay, so but our need is right now wait for presence of web element. So you can say presence pre control space presence of element located, only one element, right? So select this presence of element located by dot id. What is this? Draggable x. Okay, so means I wantedly giving something that is not available. Okay, so you can say draggable x or draggable y or xyz, whatever. So as this is not available, then WebDriver will wait for certain timings and should throw some exception. Got it? So some error over here. What is that? Oh, I need to give this in double quotes. Sorry. And this should be not single quote. This should be double quotes. Okay, guys. So got it. So now let us run this step and we'll see what it executes and what error it will throw, because as this is not available, it should throw some error. Okay. So right click and debug as Java application. Now it's loaded. Okay. So now this is at this step. Okay. So my explicit wait is now what it does. This will run this test until this element located. Our maximum time is 40 seconds. So as we know, this is not there, so it will should throw some exception after 40 seconds. Okay, so let me run it. Now let's see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Maybe I'm faster. So let's see. It should throw some exception after 40 seconds. Yes, you got it right. So what's the exception? Expected condition failed means it did not present and tried for 40 seconds with 500 milliseconds interval. So this is just apply your bus story now. So means it's waiting for draggable X passenger and for 40 seconds and every 500 milliseconds means every 5 seconds it will check passenger A has arrived, no. Again at 10 seconds passenger A has arrived, no. After 10 seconds it will check till what is the maximum time until 40 seconds. So once 40 seconds time is reached, then okay, bus will start and it move further. Okay, so here after 40 seconds what it does, it will throw some exceptions and your script will be aborted from that part. So this is about explicit wait. Okay, so I hope you got some idea about explicit wait. Okay guys, so this is the third way. And these are the differences between implicit wait and explicit wait. So implicit waits are to WebDriver session, entire WebDriver session. So means once you declare, so if you have number of for each and every command it will wait for 10 seconds. So but explicit waits are specific to the web element. As I said, it's only specific to one element. It only checks presence or display or availability of web element. But here it has many conditions, maybe visible, invisible, clickable, selectable, multiple alert present or whatever. So there are many conditions are available, and the default wait time is 0, and the default here also 0 until you mention it won't be considered. It will not wait if element identified before the given period. So means the similarly, this is also same. So means both, if the element is appeared, then it will not, wait for the complete of that given period. It will go further. And an implicit wait is to tell the web browser to poll the DAM for a certain amount of time. Okay, so means every 500 milliseconds it will poll nothing but it will every 500 seconds means at 500 milliseconds, every 0.5 seconds it will keep on searching, it is there or not, it is there or not, it is there or not. So this kind of polling is similar to explicit wait also. Okay, so every 500 milliseconds interval, it will keep checking for presence of that element or display of that element or whatever the condition you passed in explicit wait. And recommended to use when elements are loaded within time periods. So if you don't have any elements that are exclusively loaded or maybe loaded in different time intervals, this implicit wait is not suitable. If all the elements are loaded within time, and if by looking at your by practicing your application, you will come to know like how the elements are behaved. So based on that you can use this if all elements are loaded within the given time period. But here recommended when elements are dynamically loaded means some elements are loading at some intervals and some elements are loading at different times. So usually these kind of issues will occur if you are interacting with Ajax loaders or jQuery elements. So in such cases, you will be depending upon your explicit wait. So these are the two different, these are the various differences between implicit and explicit wait. And the last and worst method is thread.sleep. So thread.sleep is it's a kind of Java method to pause the execution for specified time. So syntax is thread.sleep long milliseconds. Okay, thread.sleep, whatever you give, these are the 10,000 milliseconds, means 10 seconds, it will wait forcefully. So this is not a condition specific. This is a hard wait. That's it. If I use thread.sleep for 10 minutes, it will wait for 10 minutes. Doesn't matter whether all passengers are in or doesn't matter whatever. It will wait for the given amount of time and this is not always advisable. Only use it, when like in between, just like you wanted to give some gap. Maybe very rare time we will use it. We cannot say the best condition to use this. So this is only one of the feature which is available in Java, and that we can use it for wait. And you can use this any in between of any WebDriver commands. Is something like here also you can use something. Where is the wait? Here you can use thread.sleep, thread.sleep, milliseconds. So 10,000 means this will wait for 10 seconds. So this will ask you to throw some exception. You can declare. Just select it. This will throw it. This will add some exception to it. So this is called as a thread.sleep. So that's all about synchronization of WebDriver using various methods. I hope this session will given you a better understanding of synchronization, what is synchronization and how it is important, and how to use page load timeout, implicit wait, and explicit waits. I think so. That's all about today's session. I hope if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share. And we'll come back with more sessions. And thanks for watching this video.